Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today is going to be the conclusion video of the October 2018 eBay repair challenge between me, my mate Vince, the amateur from the UK, and Steve, the professional from TronicsFix in the US. So it was like a UK-US battle. We each bought 5 items from eBay, and we had to 5 faulty items, and then we had to do our best to repair them and again sell them on eBay to see who could make the most amount of money. Now I was lucky with my ones, and all 5 of them I did manage to fix, probably because I bought things that were that I thought I might be able to fix. I wasn't buying things that were completely ripped apart. I sort of got things that I thought might be fixable. So some of them were hard, some of them were quite easy. PlayStation Vita was easy. Some of them, like the I don't know, none of them were really that hard. Xbox One S I found a bit challenging. But it was all it was all good fun. I enjoyed it. Now, so what I've done here is I've got the breakdown of each one, because you might be kind of surprised about how much money, or how little money, there's a hint there, you actually make when you do this sort of stuff, especially when you buy and sell on eBay. So, and it's also very surprising, what I did here is to work out the profit. And sometimes on cheaper items, it's amazing that you can make as much profit as expensive items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of them, and then I'm going to tell you the total that I made, and then under here I've got the total that Steve has made, and then we can see who won, because that is the idea of this challenge, to make as much money as possible. So before I start, a few people sort of said, "Oh, Steve, you're doing another console." That was the whole point of this video, the series. If I could, for example, be confident in fixing consoles, I would have picked all consoles, because the idea was to make as much money as possible. We will be doing further series where we're going to mix it up a little bit, but on this series the object was to make as much money as possible. Right, so first of all, I bought a little Hornby train. I bought it for £25 and I sold it for £66.99p, which you think is amazing. You're thinking, well, hold on a minute, that's like 2.5 times the price that I bought it for. But eBay took £7.60 between the listing fee and the final selling fee. PayPal fees were £3.15. Postage was £3.85. So the total price of this train cost me £39.60. There was nothing actually wrong with it. I just had to take it apart and give it a really good clean, so I didn't have to spend any money on spares. I sold it for £66.99 and I made a profit of £27.39p, which is really good on something so cheap. So on this one there was a 109% increase on the train, so really good. Then I did a PlayStation Vita. I bought this one for £37.49. eBay charged me £5.10 to sell that and list it as well. PayPal fees were £2.89. Postage was £3.85. I think it was the same as that. And I had to buy an analog stick. Now, I didn't actually have to buy this analog stick because I already had PlayStation Vitas lying around my house, but broken ones. But obviously, for the purpose of the competition, that's not fair, because otherwise somebody could have a load of spares and they're just going to win. You have to do it as if somebody didn't have the spares. So annoyingly, the cheapest analog sticks, I thought you'd be able to pick them up for £3 or £4. You can't. On the twos, on the slim one, you can pick them up cheap, but on the first generation PlayStation Vita, one with the OLED screen, the cheapest one I found was £9.12. So I actually spent a total of £58.45 on this when you add all these together, and I sold it for £78.99. As well as that, it was, if this was just any other person selling it, then it would have probably gone for less. But because people watch the video, they want to support, Team GB, then it's probably pushing up the price a little bit. So slightly unfair on Steve, because he was actually listing his without letting his subscribers know the listing, while I kind of pushed my subscribers towards the listing. So really it's probably inflated the price a little bit, not a huge amount. I'm pretty sure still it would have gone between £60 and £70, but as it was here, it went for £78.99. Now the profit on that one was £20.54, which is a 54% increase. So you can see, although I spent more money on it than the train, there was actually less of an increase. Now, Xbox One S. I had a bit of fun with this one. I had to change the HDMI port. Thoroughly enjoyed doing it. Annoyingly, the power button was gone on that one as well, which the seller didn't mention. So there was two things I had to do. So managed to fix it, and eBay charged me £8.28 for that. PayPal fees were £4.99. Postage £7.09. Parts £16.31 because I needed the HDMI port and also the little front power board with the sync button, power, etc. Total on that, I actually spent £117.16. Now, this did sell for silly money. It was over £200, but I had problems. I think it was £234, but I had problems with the GPS global shipping program with eBay. Basically, I had to list it again, had another problem, had to list it again, kind of mucked up the challenge a little bit. The sale price was £140.99, so you can see there's actually not much profit there. So the profit on that, although it took a lot of work, was only £23.83, which is only a 29% increase. So you can see now the increases are getting lower and lower, even though I'm taking much more risk. You know, the total here was 117. The total here was only 39. So nearly three times the risk, but much less profit. Then I went on to possibly my favourite one, the RC car, the Tamiya Ford Escort car. Got it for a bit of a bargain price at £64.52. But this is where the shocker comes in. I thought this was going to be the one to win me the competition, or at least get me right up there. But check it out. eBay charged me £20.77 to list and sell that, which that is a lot of money. PayPal fees was £6.63, postage was £7.09. Parts, this was huge. The parts was £70.92 because I had to buy a battery, a charger, tyres, paint, bits for the inside of the car and stuff, a motor mount. I had to buy a lot of things. So the total here, even though it only cost me £64.52, the total was £169.93. And he got a good price, but not that good, £188.99. So you can see now the profit was only £19.06, so only a 29% increase, the same as the Xbox, but actually less profits being made. So I'm actually going down, 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 down. So although this took me absolutely ages, as in days, the profit was under £20, which is not great. Then we moved on to my last one. Now, my last one I had to go cheap because I had problems. These two were both for sale at the same time because I had problems with this one. If this one had sold, then I would have been able to buy a big ticket item, for example, like another sort of thing around this sort of price here. But there wasn't any money left in the pot, so I had to buy something really cheap, which was a British Telecom phone. That's a BT phone, UK only. I got it for £9.86, had a lot of fun with this one, really enjoyed doing it. eBay fees were £4.79 to sell it, PayPal fees £1.59, postage £3.85. Parts, I just needed to buy a little Xena diode. I had to buy them off Farnell, but I also bought one off eBay. I chose the one off eBay because if I had have had more time, then basically this is the price of one from eBay, just for one. I actually got 5 of them for Farnell for I think £6 because I wanted them, for spares for other things. But the price of one Xena diode is only going to be probably like 60, 70, 80p, but obviously by the time you factor in the postage and everything else, it whacks the price right up. So this was the price of one on eBay. And so the total there was £23.18, and I managed to get £40.99 for that. So the profit on that one is actually quite high in relation to the original price. So the profit was £17.81, which is a 180% increase. So on the phone, I made the most percentage increase, but as far as the money goes, I made the most on the train, believe it or not. So all together now, what have I made overall? Well, I started with £150, and I finished with £258.63. So I only made a profit out of all that work of £108.63, which is the same as $141.02, or €123 and 76 cents, isn't it, in euro? God, my brain's gone. Cents, I think. Or cents, yeah. So overall, I've made a 72% increase on my original £150, which, when you consider all the work that went into it, isn't really that much. But we'll talk about that more in a minute. Let me show you now what Steve has made. I think you probably already know the outcome of this, but here we go. Now, with Steve, what he did is, before I show you, he basically straight away went for big ticket items. So to begin with, I took it safe with the train and kind of built up slowly, you know, the amount I was spending. Straight away, he started with a PlayStation 4 Slim, then moved on to a Nintendo Switch. Personally, I think that was his best video. I really enjoyed watching the Nintendo Switch. That was part 2. The third one was the same as me, the Xbox One S. Then he went on to a PlayStation 4 Pro, which he didn't fix, but he ended up making the money back by splitting it into parts. Because realistically, if you were to buy these and split them into parts, you would probably make much more money than I actually made by fixing it. And then he did Xbox One X to end with, and he got that working as well. So obviously he took much bigger risks. So with bigger risks, there's going to be bigger reward, but at the same time, he could have kind of lost it all. PlayStation 4 Pro on the fourth one, he didn't manage to get going, and if he sort of mucked up but if the Xbox One X at the end couldn't be fixed either, that could have possibly been the end of the contest for him. But luckily for him, the Xbox One X was working at the end. So this is his total profit. So Steve made a total profit of $334.67. So that's £257.80p and €293.87. So if you look at it now, he really did have a very convincing win. So if you just look at those figures there, I did 108, he did 257. So, you know, that's 2.5 times what I did. So he did really well. So I increased my money by 72%. He did 167% increase. So he turned $200 into $554. And do you know what? I'm really pleased he did that. And I know some people were giving him sticks saying, you know, why are you doing another console? But this is the reason why, because it's what he does for a living. You know, he fixes consoles. So it was good that he did this, because now it gives a true indication of whether or not you can make money by doing this thing. So for example, if you looked at Steve here, he did 5 things, he managed to get 4 working, and he did turn a profit that would probably be worth his while doing it. For me, don't get me wrong, I had a lot of fun doing it, and remember that me and Steve both make money from the videos, so we don't need to have the money coming in from here, because, you know, we have adverts running on the video, so, you know, don't forget that. But if you were to do this for a living, not the YouTube part, just fixing it, the amount of hours that I spent doing this, no way would it be worth it. And the reason is not because I didn't do well. If you look at what I bought them for and what I sold them for, I actually did pretty good on all of them. You know, most of them kind of not double, but nearly doubled in price. You know, this one nearly went up 3 times. But the problem with it is that all the other people take their cuts. So for example, eBay fees really are, now I'm not knocking it, because eBay is putting your item in front of a worldwide audience, but really they are taking a lot, especially if you list it in the wrong category. I mean, look at this one. Xbox One S, not too bad, sold it for £140 and they charged £8. This one, £189, and yet they're charging nearly £21. So that is, you know, that's more than 10%. That's very high, you know, very high on that one. So you can see, you know, eBay's making a nice bit of money out of it. Also, PayPal fees for just, you know, it's easy for me to say, but just taking money off one person and giving it to another, you know, they kind of take a nice little cut out of it as well. So if you had these things and you were selling them in a shop and people were visiting you, so you didn't have to pay postage or anything, then you would actually turn it into a nice profit. But for me, buying stuff on eBay, fixing it and selling it, time spent on it, even though I'm an amateur, I know I'm an amateur, and obviously the more you do it, the better you will get. Definitely not worth it in my case. But saying that, a lot of fun was had. I enjoyed every one of these. Out of all of them, I think the one I enjoyed the most was definitely the RC car, and I enjoyed, you know, having a go at it in the woods afterwards. Followed by, believe it or not, I think it was the phone. I really enjoyed doing this phone. I loved the fact it was just one little diode that was stopping the thing from working, and it was a nice feeling to finally pinpoint what it was. So that was my second one. Third one would be very close between these two, the train and the Xbox One S. I enjoyed it because this was the HDMI port. But you know what? part, the train was kind of more fun taking it apart. So I think followed by the train, then the Xbox One S and the PlayStation Vita. The only reason the PlayStation Vita was the most boring one is because it was the simplest fault. It was the just left analog stick was faulty, and it was just a case of basically getting another one and plugging it in and doing up the screws again. So there wasn't really much of a challenge there. But yeah, you know, a lot of fun was had by myself and Steve as well. But it was really good to see the difference between an amateur and a professional, because now you know, if you're doing it yourself, that to start off you might be similar to myself, but eventually you might end up like Steve. Now, I don't know how many hours Steve put into it, but you know, hopefully it might be worth his while doing stuff like that. And again, if he had a bit more time, maybe he could have done it on auction instead of buy it now, in which case then the items might have fetched a bigger amount than they did. But I think Steve made a good profit, and I think I made a fair profit, and I'm happy that I got all 5 fixed. So massive thumbs up to Steve there. He did a very convincing win. Next time now, it might be a bit of a closer race, because our next series is going to be in February. And what we're going to do is, and I'm really looking forward to this one, we're going to be picking 5 toys before the 1980s. So it can be any time before the 1980s, and they have to be toys. For example, it could be some clockwork, you know, car or toy or something. It could be some old, you know, handheld, you know, gaming something or other. Really not too sure. Basically, up to us what we do. They've got to be toys. They've got to be before the 1980s. And I think that's going to pick up I think that's going to be fun. So for example, some of you might have already seen me fix that big track. Remember the original big track from 1979, and also the battleships. That was from 1979. So they would both be okay for this challenge because it's before the 1980s. And what it will mean is that Steve's going to be more out of his comfort zone, because remember, he does the consoles you know, pretty much every day of the week, so he kind of, obviously you can get unlucky, but he sort of knows his way around the consoles. So now he's really looking forward to doing this one, because it's going to put him right out of his comfort zone, similar to kind of how I am on most things that I do. And then you know, it's going to be more of a challenge for him, and as well then it might put us on a slightly more even, you know, level playing field. Again, Steve's got much more experience with electronics than myself, but it might not be electronics. You know, if you end up picking some kind of like 1940s clockwork toy, I honestly think that I might have just as good a chance of fixing that as Steve. So definitely check out the next series, which was going to be released in February. I think, again, we're going to pick 5 things and go with that, because I quite like that format of 5 in 1 month. So basically that is it. You know, big thanks to Steve for doing this with me, and well done, mate. You did well and you deserved it, and I'm really glad you know, took the risk on every single one, and you didn't just go with that £50 consoles the whole time. You took the risk with the PS4 Pro, and also ending on the Xbox One X was good as well. And the part 2 video on the Nintendo Switch I thought was fantastic with the thermal imaging. I really thought that was good. So look forward to doing the next series with you in February. And for the rest of you who watch this, thanks so much for all the support. I wasn't sure whether this was going to be, you know, whether it would be liked or not, but obviously with YouTube you're always going to get thumbs down, but the thumbs up has been fantastic. I think it's been, I don't know what the ratio is between thumbs up and thumbs down. I think it was like under 5% or something, which for YouTube is absolutely amazing. I mean, most of my videos would be like maybe 10 or 20% thumbs down. That's just the way it is with YouTube. You can sort of do a video and you might do 100 things right, but because you do one thing wrong, unfortunately, people give you thumbs down, which is fair enough. That's what it's there for. But on this series, on both of our videos, mine and TronicsFix, the ratio between thumbs up and thumbs down were really good. And as well as that, the comments was just like really positive and good, and people giving advice and stuff, which is fantastic, because then other people reading it will get help by reading those comments. So when somebody who's knowledgeable comments, obviously much more knowledgeable than myself, then you see other people will read those comments and it will help them. Even people that don't reply or give thumbs up or say thanks, they're still reading it and they're still getting help. So it's a really, you know, it's a really good thing. It's a good positive thing. And yeah, I really enjoyed doing it. A little bit of hassle selling on eBay. You know, eBay's always a little bit of hassle, and going to the post office and stuff. But it was worth it for the contest. The bit I like the most is actually looking for the things, you know, buying the things, unpacking them and seeing what is wrong with them, you know, and then fixing it just gives a great feeling. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching this series, and I hope you watch the next series as well. Thanks again to Steve. Thanks to everybody. Thumbs up all round. Take care. Bye now.